Every day, thousands of founders wake up feeling like they're stuck in a loop, spinning their wheels, sweating blood, but wondering if what they're really building is a company or just another version of themselves. It's that terrible gnawing doubt that burrows deep. Am I creating something that lasts? Or am I just crafting this identity, this label that feels powerful but is fragile as glass? And that question doesn't just mess with the mind, it messes with the soul. Because when success starts looking like a mask you can't take off, when your work feels like a performance rather than a purpose, something inside starts to crack. You've got hacks, spreadsheets, endless pitches, all these hours burnt. And yet, something crucial is missing. That real, grounded, fierce energy that drives actual change. Instead, what's often left is a hollow echo, an identity built from what others expect, from surface-level wins, from temporary applause. This isn't just a story about founders. It's about the way the entire system sets a trap where the promise of freedom turns into chains made of roles, titles, and expectations. Society applauds founders but quietly makes them prisoners of a persona. The world hands out rule books dressed as opportunities, and every move you make risks becoming a box to check rather than a step towards something meaningful. It's brutal. Your mind races, struggling to keep pace with the endless demands. Your vision blurs because you're pulled in two directions: build a legendary company or maintain a flawless identity. Which one is real? Which one survives when the spotlight dies down? The truth no one will tell you loudly is this: identity is not the foundation. Identity is a costume that only lasts as long as the applause does. It won't carry you through the storms when the market collapses, or when the people who once believed in you disappear. What truly matters, the thing that carves legacies, is the relentless work of building something that stands on its own feet, independent from the fragile ego or the fleeting brand. The difference is radical, life-shaking even. Building a company is about making a structure that breathes, that moves, that lives beyond you, even on your darkest days, even if no one is watching. But building an identity, that's a trap where the fear of being ordinary turns into chains that only tighten. Look at those founders who burn out. They often walk away not because they failed at business, but because they failed themselves, trying to be something they are not, chasing a persona that felt safe, popular, scalable. They wear success like armor, but inside, they're slowly suffocating beneath expectations stacked sky high. That fear of losing face, of exposing flaws, the fear of not being enough, becomes a slow torture. And here's the heartbreaking part. This suffering is silent. It's invisible because it hides behind the catchy slogans, the perfect LinkedIn posts, the media stories about overnight success that took 10 years. This is the real cost of confusing company building with identity building. But here's the flip side. There's a way out. A path not paved by noise, not built on chasing shadows or approval, but forged in the fire of radical honesty and ruthless clarity. It starts when founders stop worshiping the image and start loving the work. When what you build isn't about proving something to the world or to yourself, but about creating something real that can survive absent any applause. In that space, the hustle isn't for the spotlight, it's for the impact. Every decision, every sleepless night, every pivot becomes a deliberate act of creation, not performance. This clarity cuts through the chaos like a laser. Focus on what lasts, on what grows independently of ego and fleeting trends. Build a company that is a tool, a force, a legacy, one that outlives you, whose value isn't wrapped up in your personal identity, but stands solid on its own. Now, this isn't easy. It's brutal work to break free from the temptation to build an identity. The world trains you to crave validation. Social media feeds your ego like a drug. Boardrooms expect charisma, confidence, a story that sells. But it's all superficial if the core isn't a living, breathing company that solves real problems for real people, day in, day out. This is the battle in every founder's heart. Will you be the actor playing the part, or the craftsman building the tool? Choose the latter, and the noise fades. The pressure to pretend disappears. You become unstoppable, not because you're the loudest or flashiest, but because you're relentlessly, rabidly real. To make this shift, you have to do three things. No one tells you straight up, but every successful founder knows deep inside. First, embrace brutal self-awareness. Rip away every narrative you've built about who you're supposed to be, and look at what you're actually doing. Not what you post or pitch, but how your work impacts the people who matter. Are you solving something meaningful, or just selling the idea of success? This is where the difference begins. Brutal self-awareness kills delusion and lights a fire under real progress. Second, align with people who get it. Those rare few who don't just talk the talk, but live beyond the system. The system rewards conformity. Your tribe doesn't. Find the handful who see the difference between identity and impact, who don't worship the image but the idea, who support creation over performance. When you stand with them, your work ignites. Connection here isn't about networking. It's alchemy. It's where isolated brilliance turns into unstoppable synergy. Third, play the long game. Instant wins are illusions. The world is going to try to seduce you with shortcuts, hacks, and quick growth schemes designed to boost your identity, not your company. Don't buy it. Slow, patient, consistent construction is the only way to build a legacy that breathes on its own terms. This means embracing uncertainty, holding yourself accountable to real value creation over vanity metrics, and weathering the tough seasons without giving in to desperation or performance pressure. Here's what happens when these three truths anchor your work. You stop being a prisoner of a fragile identity and become a master of true company building. Fear of failure isn't silence anymore, but fuel. Doubt becomes a compass, not a cage. You build a company that isn't just a reflection of yourself, but a force that disrupts, heals, changes the game. It's raw, it's real, and it's terrifyingly beautiful, because it's not about being seen. It's about being needed. It's about impact that challenges, reshapes, and ultimately transcends you. This shift isn't just survival or success, it's liberation. Freedom from the superficial prisons the world hands out disguised as freedom. Freedom to create endlessly, to fail boldly, to rise fiercely without the pressure of wearing a mask. It means understanding your deepest power lies not in how you perform or present, but in how you build and sustain something that outlives any spotlight. And this power, this liberation, is contagious. When founders grasp it, they stop competing for attention and start competing for impact. They stop chasing followers and start building futures. There's a tension that burns inside every founder who feels trapped. It's the quiet scream of the restless, the part that knows there's more beneath the surface. To that scream, the answer is brutal and beautiful. Build your company like your life depends on it, because it does. Build it not as a reflection of yourself, but as an extension of your highest vision. Embrace the loneliness of real creation, the patience of real growth, the faith that what's real will find roots and blossom beyond you. When identity fades and substance rises, the world doesn't just take notice, it bends to your vision. So if the fear of being stuck in an identity cage haunts your nights, if the pain of struggling to be more than a label crushes your spirit, know this: the power to break free is already inside. You don't need applause, validation, or a perfect story to succeed. What you need is relentless commitment to building what truly matters. The company that lives, breathes, fights, and wins long after the spotlight dims and the false cheers disappear. When founders make that switch, when they dare to build beyond identity, they unlock a force that no system, no rule book, no illusion can contain. This is the real rebellion, not against the world outside, but against the false world inside. The rebellion of those who refuse to be masters of image and instead become builders of reality. The rebellion of those who know that legacy isn't born from identity, but from impact. The rebellion of the few who dare to forget the script and write their own story, not with words, but with actions. This is the path from being found to being founder, not just of companies, but of futures. It's brutal. It's lonely. It's the hardest work you'll ever do. But in that struggle, in that wild becoming, freedom waits. The freedom to be more than a mask. The freedom to build, to break, to rise, to transcend. This isn't the comfort zone. This is the edge, the place where true founders live. And it's the only place where you can leave behind not just a company, but a legacy that no one can take away.